Hello everyone, Treecks here and welcome to part 11 of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. We're still enjoying the beautiful sound of the floor trap that is stuck in the wall, so let's move out of here and continue with the Swamp Palace, the second dungeon that we entered last time. Couldn't quite finish, but we ended off with getting the big key, so we are able to get the dungeon item. The big reveal in the first minute of the video. Hell yeah, what are we going to get? Veterans, please shut up, because you already know, of course. For anybody new to this, let them be surprised. Ow, I hate you. Give me your money. Okay, time for the item. We have the Hookshot. It extends, it contracts, and boing! It can grapple many things. The Hookshot gets introduced in this game. And it's really fun to use in all honesty in this game. I really love the Hookshot in this game. The main use of the Hookshot in this game is it being a long-range weapon, as you can see. It can extend to the full length of the screen. And we can basically use it to attract ourselves to certain objects, like a chest for instance, or the statues. And even the skull pots we see over there. Which we can use to cross gaps that we normally can't. It's a really fun item to use, definitely. And we're obviously going to use it to get everything in the dungeon we could not grab without it. Most importantly, to the right over here, more skull pots as you can see, but this one actually houses a key. So grab it. And with pretty much all of the dungeon already completed, we only have the northern wing to do. And in order to reach it, we also need the Hookshot to attract ourselves to over here. And don't forget about the key, because as you can see you need it. Okay, the final wing of the dungeon, the northern wing, which also immediately houses the end, because we saw on the compass the boss is here. Okay, in this corridor we actually want to drain the water first, as you can see, because we have stuff down there. But we can't dive in this game, so the water being up gives us no ability to access the corridor from here, so we need to find another way. That actually comes into play with these locked doors that we see to the left and right of this room. Here we find a switch, and it's a pressure switch, so don't step on it yourself. Push this statue on top of it, and the door opens up. This one actually leads to a dead end, so it's kind of a trap door, you might say. We actually want to go to this one. The door to the left will actually bring you to the corridor you see to the left over there, which will also lead you down, but if you look at the next room, you will see you will come out to the left of the switch, not being able to push it. And therefore saying, go right, because then you have access to the lever and you can drain the water here. Now that the water is drained in this section, we also have access to the two chests we saw earlier in the other corridor, which we can actually access through this means. Let's see what we have. Rupees. And more ruples. So if you don't care for grabbing all chests or don't care about money, you can skip that. But why would you want to skip out on money? Because we have way too many arrow and bomb upgrades to do. Although it does not apply to me, because I'm already done with my upgrades. I'm already at 50, 70. But anyway, more money. Okay, and this room seems to be a dead end, because there is still a door heading north, but this one actually also leads nowhere. Just a couple of skull pots. But you do see there's actually something to the right over there. So the dungeon must continue, but where? Time for the next puzzle. You may be familiar with waterfall mechanics in this game. We have been crossing through waterfalls more often in this game. And that is once again going to be the key. Most of these actually just run into walls, but this one is continuation. You can also look on the map, because you can see on the map there's actually a corridor continuing there. That's basically the hint that there's a waterfall you can go through. So it's not really a mean trick, because the map tells you it's there. But still, you need to go through a waterfall in order to continue. Okay, and then we end in this room. There's a key to the right over here. But still, it's a pretty nasty room because of the water actually being in a current, so it pushes you around the whole time. It's really hard to swim in, and these stupid tectites here are really annoying. Even though they're not really tectites, but I think they work the same as the blue Tektites do, so I always call them Tektites. Okay, this room to the middle actually is just a restock room. Okay, that guy's broken. Not really sure what he did, but it looked weird. Let's just ignore him. Let's move on to the boss, because here we have the boss door. And let's say hello to Argus, the boss of the Swamp Palace. A boss that actually returns in Majora's Mask somewhat, because there's a mini-boss in that game that's really similar to this guy, called Ward. He's a mini-boss of the Great Bay Temple. Really similar. Works the same. You need to hookshot, of course, you need to use the dungeon item to beat this guy. But you need the hookshot in order to pull these clouds off him. Not really sure what they're supposed to be, just call them clouds. He every once in a while shoots them around in order to hurt you. The basic deal is pull them off him and then slash your sword to destroy them. And once they're all gone, the second phase will start. Which is pretty easy to do. And yeah, make sure they don't touch him, because whenever they touch him again, they get reattached to him. But anyway, once they're all gone, he will start jumping into the water and start moving around at high speed. And it's just a simple matter of hitting him with your sword. The easiest way to do it is just charge a spin attack, so you can do double damage whenever you hit him. He moves around pretty predictably, so it's pretty easy to charge your spin attack against this guy. And once you've hit him enough times, he gets destroyed, like any other boss. Heart container and Maiden crystal. Thank you very much. Treecks, thanks to you, I was able to escape from the clutches of evil. Thank you. The Triforce will grant the wishes of whoever touches it, as long as that person lives. That is why it was hidden in the Golden Land. Only a select few were told of its location. But at some point that knowledge was lost. The one who rediscovered the Golden Land was an evil thief named Ganondorf. Luckily, he couldn't figure out how to return to the Light World. Well, remember that you have magical powers, which only the hero can make use of. There are some other magical warping points, like the one you saw on Death Mountain. Already knew that. By using them, you can go between the two worlds and find the evils hidden in the Dark World. You are the only one who can destroy Ganondorf, the thief. No. Ganon, the evil king of darkness. Do you understand? Yes. May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce. Hell yeah. Okay, we learn a lot of important things here. Ganondorf, the thief, was the one who first discovered the Triforce again after being obscured by the mists of time. But he, like most of the people who tried to go near, was also unable to escape, so he's up to this day still stuck here. And Maiden also gives us the advice there are more warp points than the one on Death Mountain in order to make use of accessing the Dark World. But we already knew that, we were already collecting a lot of things with that warp portal. But at this point actually the official hint gets given in order for you to look around the Lost Woods in order to find that warp portal in order to get access to Thieves Town. And therefore the third dungeon. But okay, we have the hookshot now, and that actually gives us access to that place anyway. So I'm not really sure why the dark portal is all of a sudden necessary, because allow me to show you one big important thing. This bridge that was broken actually has a skull on the other side, and the hookshot can bring us there. You don't interfere. Watch this. Bam! We're at Northern Hyrule. No warp portal in Lost Woods required. Hookshot can also bring us there. Even though it is pretty obscure, the game doesn't necessarily tell you, and the skulls are also a little bit hard to see, so I understand. But You don't actually need that new warp portal anymore. The Hookshot will give us access to Northern Hyrule as well now. So we don't have to return to the Light World if we want to go here. And take the long way around, you might say. But okay. The next dungeon is over there. Dungeon 3. Skull Woods, as it officially is called. In the Dark World version of the Lost Woods. So, yeah, it's going to be our next goal. Once again, I could do Thieves Town already, the 4th dungeon, which is pretty much already accessible, but might as well also go here. I'll give a piece of heart to the person who wears the cape. I happen to have a cape, so might as well check this out. Skull Woods can wait. Piece of heart is more important. Yeah, if it isn't obvious from my earlier remarks and comments, most of the early dungeons can actually be done in any order. The 4th dungeon is actually already accessible, but might as well keep myself to the order. I did plan on doing something else at first, but might as well just do them in order in order to keep the Let's Play consistent, you might say. Okay, this is something we cannot pass. This is a very mean placed bumper. However, thank you for the sign who told us if we wear the cape, we are unaffected by this thing. The wearer of the cape deserves a piece of heart. Okay, detour aside, let's move back on the main pathway. We were on our way to Skull Woods after all. Which is the Dark World equivalent of the Lost Woods. And as our map clearly shows, it is the 3rd dungeon officially. Even though I technically always do it as the 4th one, whenever I play on my own. I always do Thieves Town first. But might as well keep myself to the official order for once. Here in Skull Woods you can clearly see it's a lot more dark than the Lost Woods. And not dark in the sense that you can see very well. But this place is just very sinister. A lot of skulls here and bones in general. A lot of dead ends too. This place is also kind of a maze, you might say. But most of all, it is by far my least favorite dungeon in this game. Because I really don't like this place. First of all, accessing the place is already a hassle. The best way to access the dungeon itself is actually to go to the point where the warp portal is, and from there make your way north into the forest. And here, at this point of the forest, we don't steal my bombs, stupid thing. But this point in the forest, you can actually find a couple of entrances. Most of all in skulls, but also these holes in the ground. And these are actually not random caves. All of these openings we find here are actually entrances to the dungeon, because the dungeon is actually underneath us, you might say. And it has a lot of entry points. Welcome to Skull Woods. The dungeon, with that I mean. But okay, there's actually multiple things we need to do here in multiple stages. In that sense, this place is comparable to the Desert Palace, the 2nd dungeon. But if we enter through these means, we can actually find the map pretty quickly. And you can see how it looks. 2 floors. The 2nd basement floor only has 1 room, so that one's not really noteworthy. All of the rest takes place on 1 basement floor. You can already see how some of the rooms are not connected to each other. Already giving away that this is a multi-stage dungeon with a lot of entrances. And a lot of different places where we need to go with multiple entrances. We find a big chest here, but we can't access it from here. And if we go here, we already exit the place again, as you can see. Okay, let's go to the next opening. This hole over here. Let's fall in here. Okay, now we're more to the left of the dungeon, you might say. Let's show that off. This is where we are right now, as you can see. Southwestern portion of the dungeon. Let's see what we can find here before we are forced out again. These skull pots look tempting because of the big fire bar spinning around it, but nothing too special. Okay, this next room does have something, if I remember correctly. These red ones take way too many hits to die. I don't like these guys. At least the blue ones die in one hit. Okay, here we have the compass. If you grab it, you also receive all these holes in the ground all of a sudden. But you can see the boss is actually to that singular room on the second basement floor, which is interesting. That is where we're heading in the end. Okay, to the north of here we actually find the key. First we need to destroy these Gyptos, mummy enemies. And here we find the key in the chest. Oh, and these things are also here. Kind of forgot about them. Remember the floor masters in the first game? The hands that pop out of the walls, or out of the ceiling in this case, and try to drag you to the entrance of the dungeon. They have returned in this place. So make sure not to get grabbed by them. Every few seconds the one will drop at the location where you're standing on. And if they manage to grab you, you return to the beginning of the dungeon. And speaking of returning, that key door I actually want to skip because you don't have to go through there. It's a shortcut to a different room. But we can also access it from a different means, going around. Which we need to do anyway, because this room also has a key. And the room also wants to be shown off, of course. But this room will actually also bring us to the very same room that the other key door would have brought us to. So you don't actually have to waste your key there. You only have to waste one of your keys, because as you can see there's another key door here. And this one will actually also bring you to that same location, because if we go here, we will once again be over here. And this door is actually where that other key door will take you, so you officially don't actually have to use that. But okay, southern portion of the dungeon already quickly taken care of, by the means of these 4 access points. Let's move on to the next one, because obviously there is more. Let's go in here now. Okay, we want to head north in the end, but first we want to take a look at the rooms to the left over here. This is inaccessible, the north end of the room, that is for later. It's not even that important, because I don't think there's anything here. Great job, you killed yourself. Okay, there's a key under here, so grab that quickly. And let's see if we can make our way to that key door over there. There's a couple of blocks in our way, preventing us from getting there. So you might ask how we're going to access that platform. We're going to make use of this trick, bumping into the wall. You might have seen me doing that a couple of times already during the Let's Play, mostly on accident. But if we do it deliberately, we can actually use it to quote-unquote jump. It's a pretty obscure trick, because the game doesn't tell you you can do that. And the floor will start crumbling here, so be quick if you want your stuff here. And I'm pretty sure there's nothing important here, so yeah, there's nothing here. Okay, let's use our hookshot to return to safety. Even the hookshot can't help us, it seems. Okay, nothing to grab, so okay, in that case I'm stuck here, because it's too far to jump. But luckily we still have the wall masters to help us. Okay, we're back in this room. In fact where I want to be, so good thing for those guys. As if I planned it that way. I'm never going to admit that. Okay, anyway, with that small little detour aside, as you might have seen there was nothing too important there, but at least the room was shown off. Let's move on north, and once again, pressure switch, so we can't step on it ourselves. We need another statue to help us. Only for this one we need to think it through a little bit better. We can't just push it towards the switch, because if we do, we block off our access to the door, so we actually need to pull it onto the switch. Make sure it stays on it. Thank you. And then we can access the door. Here we find another chest. There's no reason why we're going here. And here is the big key of this place. We already saw the chest, but we did not see where to get it. Okay, these things are quite annoying. Sometimes you find these magical things in the Dark World, which can actually counteract your Moon Pearl. You temporarily change back into the bunny form, therefore saying you're unable to use your weapons for a moment, but it doesn't never really last very long, so it's usually a little bit more annoying than actually a hindrance. But okay, with the big key in hand, let's return to the entrance. We can use the mirror to warp, or just use the wall masters to warp. Okay, let's move back to the portion of the dungeon where we saw the big chest, and actually see if we can find where we can access it. We saw it at the room to the left of here, but we did not have a way to access it quite yet. If you look closely at the left wall, you will find a cracked wall here, and that is our ticket in. Because we need to approach the chest from above, of course, because from the south we can't access it. And even from the north it seems to be inaccessible, because holes in the ground. But we also have these star switches again, and these are our way to solve this puzzle. Step on the star switches in this room, and even in this room the gaps get changed around. We can take a look at the skull pots at the north here, if we don't fall in. Stupid hookshot mechanics. Make sure you save the one to the south, because you also need to want to have a way back, of course. The switch will open up the wall here. And a big epic explosion. No need for bombing the wall this time around. The dungeon item here is the fire rod. This rod commands red fire, but watch your magic meter. Another magic item. I did promise you this game would have a lot of those. Making use of a lot of magic with the later weapons in this game. But the fire rod is actually our way to the to access the real part of the dungeon, because just like in the Desert Palace, there's a separate section of this dungeon that houses the route towards the boss, you might say. And that is actually where we're heading next. The only part of the dungeon we have not seen yet. And it is in fact the part of the dungeon where we need to go if we want to clear the place. Just like the Desert Palace. A separate section containing the final part of the dungeon. In this case it is over here actually. As you can see, we can't access this. There's a large piece of bone blocking our path. But we just got the fire rod, and guess what? It can burn this bone, giving us access to the boss section of Skullwoods. Let me show you off on the map. As you can see, we are at a separate section of the dungeon now. And it is, of course, looking at the map, where we're going to end this. But that will happen next time, because looking at my clock I see time is up. Next time we will finish this place. Level 3 Skullwoods. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Treecks out.